Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Welcome. If you are returning, if you're a subscriber, a follower, and you're back for another video, then welcome to you guys as well. This is the watch list for Wednesday, November 2nd. I send these watch lists out for you guys for free every single day, well, almost every single day. We didn't do it yesterday because of Halloween, but every single day I send these watch lists out for you guys for free. Listen, guys, if you put in some time to this stuff, if you put in 6 months, put in a year, you will become a more profitable and a more consistent trader. I promise you that. There's no other. It can't not happen. If you apply yourself with this strategy, it can't not happen for you. Okay? It's the easiest, the simplest strategy that you will ever come across. I want to go through a couple things before we get started on this watch list. Number one, well, you can find me on Twitter. If you have questions, you can ask them there at Mr. Clark Griswold. I also have a Discord, the Griswold Trading Discord. You can find that Discord in the link. There's a link in the description below. So that'll take you to the Discord, and everything that I offer you guys for free or fee-based can be found in that Discord. Now, the room is like 90% free, but I do have a portion of rooms in there for the Griswold Gold paid memberships, and that Griswold Gold gets you a bunch of great stuff for just $50 a month. It gets you the Griswold Strat indicator that I've created for you guys, and we'll go over it. It gives you the top 5 plays out of this watch list every single day. It gets you ad-free YouTube videos, watch lists. It gets you a 1-hour Strat course that I've created. So right from the beginning, right up to the advanced stuff, I go through everything in that 1-hour course. You get one-on-ones with me. They do say 15-minute one-on-ones, but I've never had anybody go less than 15 minutes. I had one today with a guy, and we probably talked for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm here to help you guys out, so I stay on those calls with you guys for as long as needed. And there's a bunch of other stuff that's included, so everything that's included is in the Discord, so go check it out. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is this screen that you see right now. It's TradingView. So I use TradingView to chart everything that I do, okay? And the TradingView that I use is a subscription-based service. There is a free version, but if you'd like to try out the subscription-based services, you can go down below, go under TradingView. There's a link there. That link will get you free 30 days to one of their subscription services for free for 30 days, no obligations. And then if you decide to use one of their services, you get up to $30 off of that subscription. But you need to start by clicking on that link down below, and that will give you your free 30 days to TradingView. And then the last thing I want to go through real quickly here, guys, I know there's ads that pop up on here, and nobody likes the ads. They suck. But those ads pay for these videos to continue to be free. So the advertisers are realistically paying for your free education. So I'm asking you and I'm thanking you in advance for letting those ads roll through, and that's what keeps this stuff free for you guys. And I'm here to help, and I'm here to learn, to teach you guys. But this stuff takes time, and it takes time away from my family. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. But that helps to pay for my time to do this stuff for you guys. So thank you very much, and thank you in advance for letting those ads roll through. Let's get started on this watch list. We're going to start off with NEO, and as I always say, anybody who's a subscriber, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe down below and hit that bell. That bell is the important part. That bell sends out the notifications for when I do send out these videos every single day, so you know when they pop up. So go subscribe, click the bell, and then give me a thumbs up as well. I'd appreciate it. So, like I said, if you've subscribed and you're following me, you know that I follow NEO fairly closely. And if NEO has a setup, it'll always be on my watch list. Okay, and likely will usually be on my top 5 watch list, just because NEO usually has really, really big moves, and I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% a lot of times. The other day it dropped 24%, and I played it on the way back up. But this play in particular has a 2 up that finished red. So you notice the candlestick numbers here, the 2s. That's part of the Griswold Strat indicator, as is the time frame continuity and a bunch of other things. And it's all the Strat indicators built into one indicator for you guys on TradingView. This is a 2 up. So a 2 is a directional candle, and we broke only the one side of the previous candle. So we went to the upside, but we finished red. So we call that a failed 2. So when we have a 2 up that finishes red, we look at the probabilities as being that that is going to continue to trend lower to the downside. And it doesn't always happen that particular way, but the probabilities tell us that that is what should happen. And so if we trigger this yellow line at 969, we can take puts on NEO and look for first targets at 938 and 928. Now, if it's me and I'm taking puts on this put contracts, I take the closest expiry, which will be this Friday, which is the November 5th. And then my strike price, I'm probably looking at, 950. I'm guessing there's a 950 there, but that's what I would be looking at. Or $9, whichever one is there. But I believe there's a 950 there. So I would take a strike price on the puts at 950 with a Friday expiry. Now, one of the things going in our favor here as well is this time frame continuity. So this hourly, this daily, there's sellers right across the board outside of the week, but this is the only candle that represents, these two candles represent the week. Monday's candle and Tuesday's candle. But if we trigger here, you see we opened down here and came up here. So the weekly would be the only one across the board that is not full time with part of the time frame continuity to the downside. But as soon as we cross right here where we opened on Monday, then the week would be red and we'd have full time frame across the board. Now, I don't need full time frame continuity to trade. Does it give you way better probabilities? Yes. But because when I trade, I'm usually only looking at like a 5 to 1 to 2 hours max to trade, I only need the hourly and the daily in the same direction. And what I'm doing is we're triggering, and then I'm hopping down to a smaller time frame. You can use the 1 hour, the 30, the 15, the 5, but manage that trade on a smaller time frame. And if you go look at any of my review videos, you'll see how to do that, how to manage the trade. And you know what? I'm going to mention one other thing, but I'll save it for the end of the video. So make sure you guys are staying tuned to the end of the video, and I'll go over one other thing with you guys. It's pretty important, especially for November 2nd. It doesn't happen very often, so make sure you're stay tuned to that. We'll go on to the next one, Airbnb. Airbnb has an inside bar. So for those of you that know about inside bars, bear with me. For any of the new people that are here, inside bars or one bars, you can see the one down there right here, is a consolidating candle. So it's a tightening range. And the one bars stay within the range of the previous candle. So they do not break this high and they do not break this low. They stay within the range. And you can see it's painted yellow, and that is also part of the Griswold Strat indicator because it's easier. I find it easier to find the ones when they're painted yellow. And I want newcomers and a lot of people to play these ones because I think they're the easiest way or the easiest candlestick to play off of. So when you see these yellow candles, I want you to think of a spring being tightened, loaded, compacted, pressed. And when you release that spring like a jack-in-the-box, it explodes to one direction or the other. Now, if we go back in time to find a previous inside bar on A, B, and B, you can see here, and it doesn't always happen this way, guys, but the probabilities tell us that we have these big breaks. So we triggered this bottom of this wick off this inside bar, and we hit multiple targets on the way down, and it was a great trade. This one gapped up here, and if you want to know how to play the gap, you can check out one of the videos at the end that I have. But here's another inside bar. We triggered, and then we hit targets. So the candlesticks, every candlestick tells a story, guys. And I'll always tell you guys that. And the quicker you can understand what that story is and how to read it, the better off you'll become. So this candlestick, this inside bar, is basically saying, if I break to the high side off of my top of my wick, you can buy me. And if I hit this first target, you can take profits. And same thing to the downside. You can buy puts if I trigger at 108, and you can take profits at 106.67. Now, to understand this story further, this is basically the back of the book, the summary. You want to understand it further, you have to go down to a smaller time frame and watch those candlesticks, and those candlesticks will tell you how to get out of a trade or where to take profit. Okay? So off of this inside bar for Airbnb, we'll look for calls at 113.10. First target's marked out. And a lot of people call this magnitude or where the bears have their stop losses. But they all mean the same thing. And then we can take puts at 108 and first target's at 106.67. And as you can see here, the day, the week, and the month, and the yearly are all red. If we trend down tomorrow, we will be red right across the board outside of that quarterly candle. Next up is IBM. Double inside bar. So this is 2 straight days of consolidation, guys. And realistically, we are only trading this first inside bar, but for 2 days, we've had that tightening range. And basically, when you have that tightening range, you're looking for that big explosion. And you can see this blue highlight over top. Well, that blue highlight is also part of the Griswold Strat indicator. And the double inside bars don't happen very often, but that blue marker tells me where the double inside bars are. So we can go back in time on IBM and find the last one, and we'll see how rare they are. There it is. We have to go all the way back to November of 2021, almost a year ago, and we had this double inside bar, and it gapped, but it had a beautiful break to the bottom side. And that's the power of those inside bars, guys. And if you're wondering how to play the gap, I have a playlist within this channel on how to play gaps. When it gaps above, when it opens above our trigger or below our trigger, there's a certain way to play those, and I have like 4 videos in a playlist for you guys to understand that stuff. So you can go check that out on the channel as well, and make sure you're subscribed while you're at it. XLU, inside bar, double inside bar on XLU as well. So this is a SPDR ETF fund for utilities, and if we go back in time again, here's a bunch of them. And again, double inside bar, and look at the run off of this double inside bar on XLU. Okay, double inside bar, boom, huge break. This would have been a great win for you guys. And here's another one. We didn't hit targets, but we still had a really, really good run off of this inside bar to the downside. Now, they don't always work, but probabilities tell us that they should. And when we have probability, we have to understand that we have risk, and it's how we manage that risk and our emotions as a trader is what will make you a successful trader. So the better you are at risk management, the better you are at controlling your emotions, the better, more successful, more consistent trader you will be. So double inside bar on XLU, we can look for calls at 67.43, puts at 66.51. We have the targets marked out. We have great time frame continuity all to the downside. So I would like that to push towards the downside, but we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Ticker symbol C is Citibank. 2 up, finish red. And there's a bunch of these 2 up reds in this list, but we will look for puts at $46, and we have what we call a rev strat. So it's a 1, 2 up, and we're looking for a 2 down. So essentially it's a 2-2 reversal with a 1 preceding that combo. So a 1-2-2 reversal is also called a rev strat. So that's what we're looking for on Citibank. CVS has an inside bar, so we'll look for calls at 95.11, puts at 93.52. LTHM is Livent Corporation, 2 up red. We're looking for puts at 31.14 and first targets at 30.79. And like I said before, guys, wait till the end of the video. I'm going to go over something really important with you guys. You're not going to want to miss it for November 2nd, okay? So make sure you're staying till the end. Outside bar on AMD. So again, I don't usually give outside bar plays to you guys, but here we've got full time frame continuity to the downside, and we've got this outside bar that finished red. So we're going to look for a continuation off of this inside bar. So it would be a 1-3-2 pattern. We're going to look for puts at 59.43 on AMD, and our first target is at 58.92. That's pretty good magnitude. Just over, looks like 50 cents. Is it 50, 40, 58.92, 40, 50 cents on AMD. So again, I don't give you guys these outside bar plays very often, but I think this is a fairly strong setup for us on AMD. Alibaba has a 2 up that finished red. We've got a gap to fill, so we'll look for puts on Alibaba at 65.64. And you notice I have the first target at the bottom of this wick first, and then the top of this wick. So normally when we're looking at puts, the targets go to the bottom, but you notice there's a gap from this candle to this candle, meaning there's no candle in this area from here to here. So when we have those gap plays, we put our targets to the top of the next candle to fill that gap, and then the bottom of the candle can become the gap next. CCL is Carnival Cruise Lines, and CCL has a 2 up that finished red. That's a big red candle. And we can look for puts at 904 and good magnitude with the targets at 880 and 848. Comcast CMCSA, 2 up finished red. We're going to look for puts at 3154. First target's 3123. Great time frame to the downside. And I'll point out one thing here as well. We have actionable signals with this strat. So it means that the trade is very high probability. So one of them is the inside bar. A second one is a hammer candle, which is also this inside bar where we have this big hammer with a long wick to the bottom side. So that's the second actionable signal. And you can see how that one worked out. We triggered. We actually gapped up and moved up. And then the third one, we've got what's called a inverse hammer or a shooter candle, where we have this big body at the bottom and the big long wick to the top. It basically looks like an upside down hammer. So that is the third actionable signal. So that's what we have here on Comcast. So again, we can look for this play to go towards the downside on Wednesday. BAC is up next. BAC, same thing, 2 up red, shooter candle, puts at 36.11, first target's marked out. And if you guys missed it on some of the other plays because you're skipping over, that's fine. I've got something really important to tell you guys at the end of the video. Doesn't happen very often, but it is a successful strategy, so stay tuned till the end. We've got Disney with a 2 up that finished red. We can look for puts at 105.64. Tesla, 2 up, finished red. Nice time frame to the downside outside of the week. We'll look for triggers at 227.28. Then we move on to Roblox. Roblox has a 2 up that finished red. Again, great time frame to the downside. We can look for puts on RBLX at 44.25. Be careful on Roblox. I think the spread between the bid and the ask is quite far apart. And I had a one-on-one with one of the gold members today, and we talked about the spreads. And he said one of his friends, his trading buddies, got into a trade. The spreads were far apart. It wasn't a high liquid trade, and it was given to him by another group, and he couldn't get out of the trade because it wasn't liquid enough. There wasn't enough people buying and selling that stock, and he ended up losing on the trade. And that's why I think it's really important when you're looking at this stuff, guys, to make sure when you're looking at spreads that they're tight and it's a high liquid stock. And that's usually only the tickers that I give you guys, because I never want you guys to get caught in something like that. So be cautious when the spreads are wide. Doesn't mean you can't get out of the trade, but I don't want you guys to be at a losing position when you jump into the trade if you're buying market orders, okay? So that's the setup on Roblox. We move on to SE. That's C Limited. It has a 2 up finished red. We're going to look for puts at 48.91. Great full time frame right across the board to the downside on SE. Space has earnings coming up in a couple days. Looks like November 3rd. So we've got, well, it's a 2 up that finished green. I'm not sure. I must have marked this out earlier in the day, but we'll go with it anyways. We're going to look for puts on this one at $4.74. First targets would be here. Let's mark them out for you guys, and that's going to be blue. So we'll change it to green. We'll look for puts there. 472 is your first target, which is not great. And then your next target would be down here at 457 on space. Next up is American Airlines. AAL, 2 up red. We'll look for puts on AAL at 1410. Targets marked out for you. BA is the Boeing company, 2 up red. Puts at 141.84, and the target's marked out for you guys. BIDU, 2 up red. We'll look for puts at 78.13. Good magnitude to the downside at 76.06. CVX, 2 up red. We're looking for puts at 181.90 on CVX, and a great looking magnitude to the bottom side there. Ford Motor Company, a 2 up finished red. Now we have a hammer candle here, so we'll see how this one plays out, but we're looking for puts at 13.16 on CVX, and if we get that, we'll have full time frame outside of the quarterly. 2 up red on IWM, so puts there at 182.88. 2 up red on Lyft, so we can look for puts on Lyft at 15.15, and Again, we have that gap, so your first target not great at 3 cents. And I'll caution you guys on this as well. When we trigger here, or if we trigger, be cautious of this target, because a lot of times we will trigger, we'll hit targets, we'll come just below and we'll come back up, and you'll never see that target again. It happens all the time. And that's another thing that we talked about on the one-on-one that I had with the gold member, just on how tickers just barely trigger and then they're gone back the other way, and you have to learn to cut those. I know it's hard, but you'll be more successful if you cut those sooner, regardless if they run later in the day. Nike has a 2-up that finished red. 92.97 is the trigger, and a 92.68 target. And NVIDIA, NVDA, 2-up red. We'll look for puts on this one at 135.19 off of this 3-1 setup. You notice it's painted gold. That's also part of the Strat indicator. And the last time that we ran into a 3-1 setup, and I just have to find the gold. There it is. Finding the gold. It's a powerful setup. It is an inside bar setup, but when it's preceded by an outside bar, we usually have really good runs on it. And this one didn't work out. We had an outside bar there. And if we go back to find the next one, inside bar, and then we had a really nice run down. So you would have won on this trade, and you would have won on this trade as well. You can go back and check those out on your own a little closer. That's on NVIDIA. Shop, that's Shopify. 2-up, finish red, shooter candle. If we trend down, well, if we hit targets, then we'll have full time frame continuity to the downside. Outside of the quarterly, we'll look for puts at 34.72, magnitude at 33.90. That's about 40 cents, 38 cents, I think. GM, 2-up red. We're going to look for puts on General Motors at 38.85. Facebook, META, has an inside bar way down here. Okay, so off of that inside bar, we're going to look for a break to the high side at 97.49, or puts to the downside at 93.55, and those numbers are all marked out for you guys on the side here, if you're wondering where I'm calling them out from. XOM has an inside bar shooter candle, so we can look for calls at 112.57, puts at 110.65. We'll move on to Twitter. TWTR, 2-up red with a gap here, so that becomes our first target, the top of this wick. So puts at 53.70, and the first target there at 53.50 on the Twitter. 2-up red on Starbucks. We'll look for puts at 86.58, first targets at 85.95. PayPal has a inside bar, so we'll look for a break on PayPal to the upside or the downside off of this inside bar. Look at that time frame to the downside right across the board. You notice these little yellow circles. So those little yellow circles, they're part of, again, the Strat indicator, the Griswold Strat indicator. They represent inside bars. So there's currently an inside bar on the hourly, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and the quarterly. And CyberDog would not be touching this thing with a 10-foot pole, but we will look at it for a day trade or a scalp. Okay, guys, that's the list. What I wanted to talk to you guys about, and go check this out. I've posted it a bunch of times on Twitter. I have a video on it. The thumbnail has a picture of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. It's the FOMC, the interest rate meetings. There is a specific strategy on how to play this, and it has worked like a gem, I think, like the last 20 times in a row. And it's come from a guy named G-Knots, at G-Knots on Twitter. You can go check him out. But I've created a video on it to simplify it for you guys. So make sure you go check that out, because you're looking at big gains. And you don't have to throw a lot of capital at it. You can do one contract to try it out. You can watch it to see how it plays out. And you know what? I'll put the video at the end of this one, and you guys can check that out. So it's the one with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, on it. It's the FOMC play for tomorrow, November 2nd, Wednesday, November 2nd. Make sure you check that out. I hope you guys are green on Wednesday. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you good luck. Make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up. Follow me on Twitter and get in on that Discord so we can learn and earn together. And we will see you guys all on the next one. Bye-bye.